for Sequoia Community College District. Today is Monday, February 12th, 2024. And first item is closed session reportable action. There is no reportable actions. And then the second is to start with our Pledge of Allegiance. So please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we will move to public comment. Per Board Policy 2350, any person may address the board at this time either on an agenda item or other matters of interest to the public that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. A maximum of 5 minutes is allowed for each speaker. A maximum time of 15 minutes per item unless otherwise extended by the board. So I'd like to ask if there's anyone that would like to make public comment concerning items on the agenda. Is there anyone that would like to speak, make public comment concerning items not on the agenda? Okay. We'll move forward with our board and executive staff reports, starting with our student trustee report.
Hello. I have a report for both January and February because I wasn't here at the last meeting. From our Tulare campus, on January 6th and 7th, they had donuts and directions where students were able to pick up donuts and then have guided directions of where their classes were. Obviously, it's a new semester. Students have different classes and different rooms, stuff like that. So they were able to go find a Tulare staff member to be able to direct them in the right place for their classes so they would be on time. From our Visalia campus, we had Club Rush on the 31st. It was a 3-day event. Usually we host them for 2 days, but to get across to more students, we hosted 3 days, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The event was very successful. We had 33 clubs out there, being able to interact with students. A lot of students signed up for a lot of clubs as well. It was also nice to see some clubs that I signed off on, like Women in STEM. They were there. The D&D Dungeons and Dragons Club was there as well. So it was really nice to see that. We had food and music. This upcoming Wednesday, we have our Giant Hearts event, which is hosted by me and then one of my friends, also one of my fellow students, Angie Flores. We will be having, we will be having card decorating, bracelet decorating. We're also passing out 200 roses to our students and staff, and we also will have a chocolate fondue. So strawberries, pineapples, brownies, and marshmallows that are given out to students for free with show of student ID. Everyone is obviously welcome to share the love on Valentine's Day. And then from our Hanford campus, Hanford has done a lot over the past 2 months. They also had a Donuts with a new director where they're able to meet their new campus director, Jason Brazel, on January 16th and 17th, and they're also able to grab donuts as well. They also hosted a resource fair where student resources specifically such as Giant Marketplace, career services were able to connect with our students on the Hanford campus. And then lastly, we had a COS Public Safety graduated class with 51 cadets. And that concludes my report for January and February.
Very much.
Can I have you back?
Yes.
If I could just interject, after Maddie's report, Maddie, President Macareno, and I also met regarding the implementation of AB 1216, which was passed in 2021, but not required to be implemented until now, the first part of 2024. And what it allows our student trustee to do is make advisory votes on anything on our open session. And so, but we also agreed at that meeting that Maddie may not want to jump into the nuts and bolts of every single thing before the board. So she has the ability to kind of read the agenda ahead of time and let President Macareno know, hey, on items 4 and 7, I would like to make an advisory vote. And that would occur prior to our trustees voting. So just so you'll know, in the future, if President Macaneno asks Maddie for advisory vote, it's because she studied it and asked for that ability to do that in accordance with AB 1216.
When you say an advisory vote, does that mean she's voting yes or no on the item? Is that,
Yeah, she'll say, we would, as students, we would advise a no vote on this, or we would advise a yes vote on this. And, you know, trustees can take that for whatever value they place on that, yeah.
How does it work in terms of, so that it'll be in her best interest then to be able to take this information to her body of students in order to be able to represent them as well, so with ample time, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's part of
Like
the
a-
student senate that meets.
Some work for you.
Yeah.
It is, that's what, I mean,
Potentially.
after meeting,
Yeah.
we potentially saw a lot of work, so, and there are some things that our students are more interested in than others, so. She's part of the student senate, and she's there every week, and so we'll just do our best to kind of be in compliance with that new law.
So today we have field trips and excursions, you might want to look at that one, it's a first read.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Moving forward, board member reports. We'll start with trustee Sherman.
the only thing that I would say, attended the board retreat, and that was good. We had a good board retreat planning for this coming year, looking at our 10-year plan, but that's it.
Thank you. Trustee Nunes?
Nothing much. I've had the pleasure to attend several men and women's basketball games, and been very enjoyable.
Almost got himself tossed out of a couple, too. Oh. Just kidding.
Trustee Lane?
Nothing more to add.
Trustee Cardoza?
No, I just ditto what Greg said about retreat. I want to thank everybody that took the time to plan that and put it together for us. It was a good day and a half.
I just want to make a comment. I did attend one of the basketball. I was more interested, of course, in the men's basketball team, but also their halftime show, which included my 5-year-old daughter. I really appreciate the dance and cheerleading team of doing on a quarterly basis, perhaps a clinic for young students. So I really enjoyed seeing her perform out there for the audience. So
Thank you. I don't know that our cheer and dance squads have ever been more active or more talented or just better than they are right now. It's amazing how those teams bring so much life to any event, and even our outreach events, they come out and support, and they're just fabulous. So you saw a little glimpse of that. They also performed last Saturday night as a tune-up for nationals that are coming up as well. Just a phenomenal group of students doing a heck of a good job.
moving on to foundation report. Mr. Foster.
Good evening, trustees. I did have one gift I would like to report to you that we received a check. It was a planned gift, and it was an end-of-life gift for a Miss Terry Egoyan. And Terry attended a lot of our basketball and football and baseball events and enjoyed it so much so that she left fully half of her estate to those 3 programs, 16.666% for each program. So each program is due to receive $42,000. And then she left some other money to some other, but fully
Tim, which
half of her
programs
estate.
were that specifically?
So the 3 programs were men's basketball, baseball, and football. Yeah.
If you guys remember, if you've been to our basketball games for a long time, Terry would sit in the old gym, right in the entrance to the training room. She'd sit right in the aisle, and she'd have her pieces of gum, like bubble gum, like 20 pieces of gum on the bleacher right next to her. And the players, they didn't have to ask. She'd say, "You don't have to ask me. Just take a piece of gum if you want it." And you may recall this, is that anytime we were shooting free throws, she would say, "Get them all, they're free, baby!" If I heard that once, I heard it a million times. She also worked at the IRS and at Target. Just a sweet, sweet woman with a heart for the orange and blue. So
Yes.
it's very, very nice.
Yes, it was an incredible gift, and so I just wanted to share that with you all. Also, I'll mention again that we have the COS Hall of Fame induction ceremony coming up on March 21st, and that kind of leads me, and just to reiterate who will be inducted this round, we have Brian Sheasley. He's an Emmy Award-winning animator and animated programming director. We have David Bronson, our longtime cross-country coach, recently retired. And we have Mayor Jerry Dyer. And we actually have Tom Wilson, our current police academy director, has his hands on the plaque that was the class, the 1978 or 79 cadet class of Jerry Dyer in there. So it's going to be fun. So in addition to the March 21st Hall of Fame, we do have our lineup of CSF celebrations. Tulare happening on the 16th, Hanford happening on the 23rd. Please notice the difference in location for that one. We're not able to go to the usual place. It's under major renovation right now. And then in between Hanford and Visalia CSF, we have the President's Cup golf tournament on the 26th at the Visalia Country Club. That's a great event. I know not all of you are necessarily going to golf through the whole thing, but show up about 5 o'clock, and as they come in, there's a great little event that we kind of gather and find out who won, and it's a nice way to meet up with everybody. If you can't either get there at 11, get there at 5 and say hi to all the golfers that come out to support us. And then again, the Visalia CSF celebration on April 30th. That's all I have.
Questions or comments for Mr. Foster? Thank you very much. Next up, accreditation report. Dr. Lacerna.
Good evening, everyone. There in your packet is the results from the January commission meeting, which I was in attendance as a commissioner. And these are the results of the commission actions on the institutions. So the first group there is the institutions that were reaffirmed accreditation on 7 years. So you can see the list there, that's the highest you can get, reaffirmed for 7 years. And luckily, when we're up in 2025, it will now be changed to 8 years. So the best thing we'll get, hopefully 8 years. We'll be the first group that gets that. There's the second group reaffirmed on basis of a follow-up report. So that was a second visit that was taken to those colleges, and then they have a full 7-year reaffirmation. And then, those were just a follow-up report, and then the next one, Rio Hondo, is a follow-up report with the visit. So those are all fully accredited for 7 years. The following 3 were reaffirmed at accreditation for 18 months, and that they will have a follow-up report with a visit. So that's Moorpark, Oxnard, Ventura. They're from the same district, and so these were more of a district level issue. And so it's kind of like the previous warning is you have 18 months to fix what you need to fix, and we'll be out to make sure you fixed it. Yes.
Is
Mr. Neal?
Moorpark part of the same college?
Yeah, it's a
So
3
the
college
3
district. Yeah, Ventura Community College District for all 3 of them. And then the next one, deferred action and required a follow-up report in 12 months, Santa Rosa Junior College. And then pre-accreditation follow-up report, the Long Island Business Institute, their initial accreditation. And then midterm reports is the next group. And then the big news out of this meeting, which you probably have seen in the paper, is that City College of San Francisco was issued a warning and require a follow-up report and visit within 18 months. And as you can remember, they have been in sanctions before, about the time that we were, and then they've continued with issues until now, and now they have been issued a warning with a follow-up. So, and then the last one was a probation and teach-out plan in 3 months, the California Preparatory College. Those are the updates from the January accreditation meeting.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Dr. Lacerna? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Moving on, Superintendent President's Report, Dr. Calvin.
Okay, I'll have 2 or 3 of my own items, but we also have 2 fun introduction / presentations. And for that, I'll ask Dr. Lucerna to come back to the podium to kind of set the stage a little bit, and then if Richard would come up with our special guest, Richard will actually do the introduction of our new friend Ramon. So Dr. Lucerna, why don't you set the stage for us?
Yes, so this is, Dean Levin is going to introduce our Fulbright Scholar, and I just wanted to, before he got up here, commend him for the work that he's done, because getting a Fulbright Scholar at a college is no small feat. It is about a year or longer application, and this was Richard's idea, and he really brought this forward and was really supportive of it. He had to do a lot of writing. There has to be a match with a faculty member, and it is very uncommon to happen at a community college. When you hear about the Fulbright Scholar Program, it's a worldwide program, not just, it's national, but scholars come from all over the world, and they're usually at four-year universities, research universities. They're doing research. They're at the UCs. They're at the private schools, and we're one of only 2 colleges in California that have a Fulbright Scholar this round. And I just really wanted to commend Richard for the work that he did on securing this, writing it, and then getting a fabulous person here to be with us teaching our students. And so a lot of the Fulbright Scholars are doing research and other things, but we actually have Dr. Blanco Barrera teaching our students, and so they have an opportunity to be with him one-on-one. So I wanted to just preface that before Richard introduced him, and just commend Richard and thank him for the work he put into this application. So.
Good job, Richard.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Really excited to have Ramon here. Like Dr. Lucerna said, it's very unusual to have someone at a community college. The only other one in the state was East LA Community College, and we already made connections with them. It's a journalism Fulbright from Ireland, and Dr. Ramon has already been discussing how possibly he can come here and look at our journalism and communication. So there's a lot of things in movement now that I think are really exciting for our students. Dr. Barrera has 2 bachelor's, 2 master's degree, and a PhD in art and heritage from the University of Seville, where he's a faculty member in arts and drawing. He's also a photographer, multimedia artist, and focuses really on human rights and social justice issues. That's actually how we met probably about 8-9 years ago at a human rights conference at the University of Ottawa in Canada. And then we just kind of connected and have been, collaborating on different things ever since. So it's really nice to see him here today and listen to him about his classes. He talks about his classes all the time and how wonderful and interesting our students are. So I'd like to introduce Dr. Ramon Blanco Barrera.
Thank you very much. I just want to say thank you, everyone. For me, I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. I couldn't imagine any other place better than this one. You can breathe the atmosphere here at COS, and it's incredible, unbelievable. I've been working with the students so far, enjoying the experience. I just love working with them, and I think I can notice that as well in the atmosphere we are creating in class. Looking forward to continuing working here and developing other ideas, like a kind of lab we're trying to create as well, a VR lab, international connections, and so forth. So, thank you very much, really, for trusting in me, and I'm here.
You're welcome.
Well, just give us a brief synopsis of your refresher for me about your background, how long you've been here, that sort of thing, if you don't mind.
Yes, of course. Well, as Richard mentioned, more or less, I've been living pretty much around the world, like doing community-based, large-scale installation art projects. So, which means that I've been working with people about social justice, local issues, from local to international. So then I've been living in Australia and in the UK, in different parts of the UK, and North Africa, Middle East, South America, also North America, Canada, here in the States was able to be at the UC Berkeley last year, 2022. Also in South America, Argentina, and Brazil. So it's all about social issues that affect all of us internationally, some way. And it's all about, community-based social justice. And then during these last years, moving into emerging technologies as well, like virtual reality and other technologies, especially from the pandemic situation. And then working with those tools has something very powerful for people and how to improve our society. So I've been doing all that while I've been developing like my PhD, master's, then PhD, and also teaching at different universities. Because every single time that I've been moving around the world, I've been doing it through university exchanges, agreements. So yeah, I've been able to get the opportunity to also work with the students in all those areas that I've been visiting. And today, here at the COS, which I'm really happy, as I say. I don't know if I more or less answer kind of the question, because, we could talk from, every single project, but it's a lot.
Not that simple. Yeah.
I keep giving him more work like daily,
Yeah.
Ramon, you can do this.
And I'm always up to it, Yeah,
I think-
always ready.
I think on Thursday, we're going to do a reception in the art gallery. Thank you, Amy, for Ramon. So 4 to 5 in the art gallery. We'll do a reception there. It should be fun. So join us if you can. Open
Yes.
to everybody.
Thank you.
I have a quick question.
Let me add really quick, Dr. Calvin, I was going to add that and just say, he's here, we get him for 1 semester only. So I think that was part of your question.
Yeah.
You arrived in January, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I also failed to say, but he wasn't here anyway, I think he stepped out, to thank Tim Foster and the foundation because they've provided a ton of support, the reception, hosting, and then a lot of support for getting him here, moving him here, getting a place, those kinds of things. So really wanted to thank Tim and the foundation, and hopefully you guys can join the reception. But go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, of course. Yeah, thank you.
I just have a quick question. I'm sure
Yeah.
it could be long, but I'll just see if you could maybe just recap it for us. You've been all over the world, and when you go into a new community, how is it that you, get a pulse for what issues they have and tying them to like your international issues? When you get somewhere, you've been so many places. Is it through the students mainly, or how do you get out in the community? How do you get a pulse for what's happening?
Wow, that's a tough question.
Thank
you for the question, but it's...
I'll catch you at the reception.
Yeah, I mean, exactly, please. Yeah, the reception, that would be awesome. I wanted to extend also the thankful to, especially, team, thank you, and also Amy for, she's creating also the exhibit for the reception. So answering that question, I mean, it's really hard because it really depends on the place, You don't really have like a one particular methodology because we are all different, all the communities are completely different. It's like entering in different worlds, and universes. So it could be like, for example, through the students in one place at a university. Like, for example, I was working with Western Sahara refugee camps students in North Africa, in Algeria. And we were doing like a kind of collaborative project between all of us, But it could be also through the community who is living around the university and not really participating like into the university like something like every day. They're participating because they got the university in their community, but sometimes they don't really figure out how to get into that university and how, those places, institutions, colleges could also give a lot to this local community around, and sometimes they just need to get that connection work. So it's so, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's what I was looking for. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Still up?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm excited about this next one too, and for that, I'll ask Dr. Marla Prochnow to come to the podium. We have a club, Pathway to Museums, and they had a really fun field trip that they're going to share a little more about. Welcome, Marla.
Yes, thank you, and thank you, trustees. Trustee Cardoza kind of, alluded to this, that you do have on your agenda first read of board policy about field trips and excursions. So I thought, board policy is a little bit boring, but so I asked my colleagues,
Change it up for us.
some of our students that just came back from the Legion of Honor field trip to San Francisco. So 4 colleagues, 4 faculty were able to escort 42 students to San Francisco to the Legion of Honor to see a collection of drawings that I didn't know I needed to know about or see, that have never traveled, that they're only going to be in North America. They're gone. They're already back in their, whoever owns the pieces, in their personal and, public collections. But it was just one of those, first in a lifetime opportunities that's only available if we have field trip and excursion funds, and that's something that our president and superintendent can oversee and approve. So, there's no way we could have gotten, and this is just a portion of the students, but there's no way logistically we could have gotten 42 students to San Francisco and back in a day, and partnering with our partnership with Classic Charter and, the foundation funds, and had a wonderful driver, Julio, that just, it's not possible. We wouldn't be able to do it. So, we just would like to encourage, I'm sure students would echo this, we'd like to encourage, continuing with the field trip and excursion funding and the supervision of that, because it just makes all the difference. So, yeah. So, do you guys agree? Did you have a good time?
So who attended? Everybody in the back row, pretty much.
Yeah. So,
Great.
and then here's some photos, and yeah, it was amazing. We got an art history lesson from Professor Sullivan as we were on the bus, and Professor Rangel gave us charcoal and chalk and paper. I didn't do anything artistic with mine. I just basically scribbled and did my classic little house. But there's the Legion of Honor. It was a gorgeous day in San Francisco. We left you all in the rain, and then we went and had a beautiful day in San Francisco.
Where did the pieces come from?
It's
All over?
It's Botticelli. So, yeah, so they're drawings. So, they do the paintings. I'm so good at this. Listen to me. So you know how they paint the paintings, right? So they would draw beforehand, like sketches and stuff, but most of the time that would just get thrown away because they're like hundreds of years old. And so the fact that these drawings still exist and they can't be hung, Amy was saying, they can't be hung for too long, they have to rest, and the light and everything. I felt bad just looking at them. I think I was stressing them out. So, but yeah, so just in collaboration with the Pathway to the Museum, which is anthropology, history, art, and art history majors, we just cobbled together a group of students and just had a fabulous time. And so,
Were these from one particular country or a multitude of?
well,
or do
Legion
you
of Honor
know?
has a bunch of stuff. I'm so
gonna
just
look it
butchering
up.
this. It's a great museum with a bunch of stuff, but it has all kinds of artwork and antiquities. Allison should have come, and our history professor should have been here for you, but to answer those questions. But they have an incredible collection, and then this was a special collection that was only going to be in North America and happened to be in San Francisco, and our students got to lay their eyeballs on it, which is what's awesome. So,
Most
anyways.
importantly, did we get our students a good meal?
Well, we did not, yeah.
Don't tell me McDonald's, please.
I
I see
provided
this
them,
going
yeah,
on.
so through foundation funds, we provided them with a stipend. There were some Funyuns bought, I'm not gonna lie, there were some power drinks. I let them make their own choices, so. But we did stop at Casa de Frutas, so there were some dried fruits and nuts and things were purchased, but yeah. There were some power drinks and things like that and some hot Cheetos, but I'm like, all right, you guys are adults, make your choices.
Marla, Amy, thank you so much
Yeah,
for giving our
we
students that
appreciate it.
experience. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And y'all need to get back to class too, so we're gonna exit. They actually have class
being here.
tonight.
We'll give you time.
Get that gallery ready for
Thank you guys for
Thursday.
coming out tonight.
Yeah,
Thanks.
It's nice to be able to come to the meeting.
Okay, I have a couple more quick items.
Nice to have an audience.
First of all, just like to give the board another update. Enrollment is looking great. Our enrollment ranks right back with 2019-20, which was the most enrollment in our 100-year history, and trending just above that number. So hats off to everyone that makes this machine go, because we're back. And I can honestly say that we're one of the few in the state that are back. Some of our colleagues still struggling to get their enrollment there. And we've got some ideas as to why, but we don't need to get into that right now. But we're not, and it feels good. One of the reasons is because our student services folks do such a good job on the front end. And last week we had 3 straight nights of what they call preview nights, where high school seniors and their parents come to, one night it was in Tulare, the next night Visalia, the third night in Hanford. And students come out, high school seniors come out with their parents and learn all about COS, the process, the various programs. Dr. Shingle had her group there 3 nights in a row talking about the trades. Counseling was there, admissions and records, financial aid. Just a wonderful, wonderful way to kind of share the gospel of COS. And I'm not kidding when I say there was probably at least 50 employees there at night doing a wonderful, wonderful job, not to mention student ambassadors and so forth. It was an absolute crew. Really shined and really made us look good. So thanks to everyone that participated in our preview nights. And then finally, we had 2 bits of news similar. Michael Tackett, our band director, was named the California Music Educators Educator of the Year last week. And Brent Davis, our athletic director, was named the California Community College Athletic Association Athletic Director of the Year. 2 in a week. How about that? I'm going to put that out in an e-news. But I just thought we'd announce it first here at the board meeting. Pretty special week for those 2 guys. So, and that is the conclusion of my report.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to item 6, reports, starting with Mr. Arzola for the Academic Senate President's Report and Update.
Good evening, Board President Macareno, trustees, Superintendent President Dr. Calvin, and colleagues in the room here. Just a short report here. One of the things I wanted to share with you is that the full-time faculty will be voting to amend the Academic Senate Constitution. There's a couple of big changes that we need to make here. I think I mentioned that my last report that I provided, we're looking to extend the franchise to our contingent or part-time faculty. And we're looking to get that done at the end of this month, if not at the beginning of next month. Shortly thereafter, we will also be conducting the election of Academic Senate officers. And when that will occur, we're not sure yet, because the Constitution dictates when those elections are expected to be, the bylaws dictate when those elections are expected to take place. But because of the specific changes or amendments that might occur to the Constitution, the election of the Senate, Academic Senate officers might be pushed back a little bit. And then the last thing I did want to make sure it is on your radar, or at least calendars if you have the time. On March 1st, the Academic Senate for California Community Colleges will be on the Visalia campus. They're going to be offering a curriculum and dual enrollment regional. The curriculum regional, well, actually, these models have been a slight change from the ASCCC's structure before. Usually these were institutes that occurred during the summer, but what we often find is that during the summer, faculty are hard to get to these summer institutes because they're either traveling or they're teaching, and it's just really hard to get to these place-based institutes. So we switched this year, and looking to capture faculty into these really important 10+1 matters. And so we're switching to a regional, still offering the Curriculum Institute during the summer, but the regional meetings we're offering. We had 3 in the fall, we're having 3 in the spring, and COS was chosen for the Central Valley Regional. So we're hoping to get a good attendance. So far, we have about 45 folks that have signed up for the Curriculum Regional and about another 39 for the dual enrollment regional. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Our plan is to have a nice, I think, breakfast and lunch spread, similar to what Food Services did for Convocation. We duplicated that this past Friday for our retirees brunch, and it was just absolutely wonderful. So we'll do that, the breakfast spread, and then we'll see maybe something different for lunch. But really, really excited to host the statewide academic, and hats off to President Arzola for putting our name out there and getting that group to come here. I think it's a special honor, and we'll do right by the entire group.
Yeah, appreciate that. Dr. Calvin has been really instrumental in making sure that the plans for accommodating my colleagues from the ASCCC. So I really appreciate that, sir, and looking forward to the conversations.
Wonderful.
Questions?
Any questions?
All right, thank
Thank you
you.
for your report. Next, I'd like to invite Ms. Redden for the Costa President's Report and Update.
Besides what's on the agenda, we decided to get that kick-started. There's no report.
Ms. Kane, CSEA President's Report and Update. I don't see Ms. Kane in
She told us she wouldn't be here.
Okay. Alberti, COSAFA President's Update Report. Anyone here's that? No? Okay. Moving on to item 7, information. Quarterly update, budget accountability, quarter ending December 31st, 2023. Mr. Perez.
Good evening, Board. This is information item 1 and 2 is in spirit of your Board Priority 7, fiscal stability, transparency, and accountability. So this report you see about every month, but this is the time every quarter I take it for the public can actually see it. We go over it. So the first page shows our unrestricted on the left-hand side. You'll see January 8th, unrestricted budget, the revenues, a little over 102 million, and then our expenditures at 93. So at January 8th board meeting, we showed about a 9.5 surplus. And then we move into the 12th of February, today, again, 102.7 million general fund, expenditures about the same, 93 million. So we're estimating about a 9.7 surplus. Again, that won't be the case when we do our one-time proposal that we took to the Budget Committee last week, and they approved a $7 million transfer. I'll get into more of that in item number 2. And then on the right-hand side is the restricted budget. Mostly that's categorical funding through student services and what have you, strong workforce and instruction. And you see the revenue coming in at 48 and expenditures are at 48. So restricting categorical is money in, money out. You really can't carry any of that, or you can't keep any of that. It has to be spend it, use it, or lose it kind of stuff. So that's that report for February. And then the next page shows the details of the general fund and the restricted fund. And if you look down at the bottom of it, you'll see B, C, D, E, and F. Kind of gives you the details of the variances and why those happen. Anytime somebody leaves or we hire somebody, it's either an increase or a decrease to classified or instructional salaries, associated benefits, and if there's any other supplies or services, you'll see that here. So those all agree to the first page that you saw. The next page is the revenue side. Again, we're looking at not the adopted budget, but the annual projection. The adopted budget is what you approved in September, but the annual projection is year to date. And you see our general fund total revenue at 102.7 million. And if you look over it, collected as of the 23rd of January, about 55, 56%. So we're right on tune to collect the dollars there. So 57.2 million there. And then the next page is the expenditure side. Again, the expenditure side on the annualized projection, the third column over to the right, 90.3 million. Year-to-date, as of December 31st, and it's as expected, 50%. We're halfway through the year, a little more this year, or January, February, so we're almost, I think we have 4 more months left in the fiscal year. Boy, that goes quick. But again, 50%, so we're right on target. We're suspecting or expecting a 9.7 surplus. Again, I'll talk about that in item number 2 as we talk about the three-legged stool. And then the next report is mostly for the County Office of Education, our county treasurer. All of our expenditures and our payments go to the county office for their approval. All of our money is held, a majority of our money is held at the county office. So if you look at go down on the left-hand side where you see county treasurer and then move all the way to the right, you see of our $101.7 million, $98 million is with the county. We wish we could invest that money ourselves, but we can't. So what happens is everybody pools their money with the county, and we get maybe 1.5%, 2% on the dollars. Not nothing, but we're not allowed to.
This is a state,
State- it's Ed Code where you.
restriction.
Yeah. They don't want you mucking around with taxpayer dollars, so yeah, definitely. Yeah. So any questions on that?
Nope.
Okay. The next item is the quarterly CCF S311Q. That's our financial statement that we send to the Chancellor's office every quarter. And this is December 31st. And let me go back up to the board agenda item, Megan, if you will. Under analysis or implications, it shows a 40.64% reserve. Again, that will not be the case. Of the 9.7 estimated surplus, we met in the Budget Committee last week, and we approved a $7 million transfer that will go to DGS tomorrow for their review and approval. And if they approve it, it'll go to the superintendent president. We'll take it to the March board for information for the board, because it takes 2 readings, and then the April board for your approval. So of that $7 million, you'll see where we're going to look at the one-time proposal is technology, infrastructure, security, Wi-Fi, computer replacement. Last year, information technology requested $3 million. We only granted $1 million, so we're asking $1.5 this year. Then you see capital projects. It's a Tulare CTE Phase 2 program, FF&E, which stands for furnitures, fixtures, and equipment. We need to outfit the building, so that's going to be $1 million of that there. Remodels, scheduled maintenance. So the total of all those 3 or 4 things is 3.5. Of that, $1 million is going to Tulare. The 2.5 is going to facilities. Remember last year, 1 month left in the fiscal year, the state took back $5.4 million from us for scheduled maintenance. So Byron needs money for the upkeep of our facilities, all district facilities. So facilities get 2.5 out of that 3.5. And then lastly, purchase of the commercial buildings on Mooney and Tulare, the strip mall over here. Remember, we owned the 3. The liquor store, it was a computer store, and a Curry Copy. Curry Copy and the computer store are gone. The liquor store knows they need to vacate by the end of this year, December. What we're looking at is the middle section of that strip mall is to purchase. Remember, that's all to make room for the University Center of the $95 million bond. So we're in negotiations with them. So hopefully that'll go through in April, and then you'll see that purchase on a board docket there. So you'll see, and what I plan on doing is what I did to the for the budget committee is everybody sees the board or us approving one-time funds, but they always ask, what have you done? So Byron showed at the retreat the facilities upgrades, the remodels. I showed the budget committee last week. I'm also going to show DGS tomorrow saying, this is what we're doing with the one-time dollars. This is what we're remodeling. This is what we're doing for the students, Job Marketplace, what have you. This is all the things that we're doing for students. So again, that will be going to DGS, March for you information, April for action. So this report here, thanks Megan, the top part is the 3 fiscal years that ended, 2021, 22, and 23. Look at column F1 and E. You'll see our fund balances there. Very far right-hand side is a projected. Again, it won't be as high as 40.64. We're looking at 2.7 as after if it's approved, the $7 million transfer. So we're probably looking at putting that into our reserves, because as your expenditures go up, your reserves need to meet that level. So we need to make sure one of the priorities is to make sure our reserve level is higher than the state average, so we need to make sure that meets that there. The middle section, again, it's more or less cash on hand. And then the third section is our expenditures. Again, adopted budget, annual budget, year to date. Again, if you look at row J3, you'll see the 50.2%. So again, as I pointed out earlier, it's about 50%. Nothing standing out. Next page, have we settled any contract negotiations this quarter? Nope. Do we have any significant events, lawsuits, COPs, anything borrowing? No. Remember, we used one-time funds to pay off all of our long-term debt, which is a good thing, so no. And then, do we have any significant fiscal problems that must be addressed? No. And then NA, because we don't have any there. So this is our quarterly financial report that we'll send over to the Chancellor's office as of December 31st. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Perez, thank you for your report. Any questions or comments?
None from me.
Okay, great, thank you.
Cerna, low enrolled justification report, spring 2024.
Hello again. So you have before you the low enrolled justification report. This is, sorry. This is a pretty typical report, and as you already heard from Dr. Calvin, that our enrollment is looking great for the semester and for the year. So I don't know, I can go through it with you or however you want to do it, but I think the main things to point out is that for a lecture lab course, our requirement is 15. And so when you see like in the agriculture, that there's several that are 13, 11, those are lecture labs. So there's an associated lab, and our board policy says that like 15 is the cutoff for that. So if anything under 15, I need to report here. If you look at the next one, business, the cutoff for, or it's not, I shouldn't say the word cutoff, but what we're looking for is at least 20 in a class. And so you see like business communication has 17, human relations and business 18. They don't meet the mark of 20, but we're not going to cancel a class with 18 students in it. So I think that's the important thing to point out with the classes that are either like 13 for small engines, that's almost 15. I'm not going to cancel a lab class of 13. And the same for those classes are 18, 17 for the lecture classes. So I think the main thing to look at here is that so many of the classes are so close to 20 or 15 that there aren't really any major classes that we're concerned with. Then also that the deans are constantly looking at this and assessing what to do for the next semester. So, for example, this Thursday we'll start working on spring 2025, and we will take this report into account as we look at how many classes to schedule in each individual area. So we have business. Okay, I think Megan's on the next page, industry and technology, language and communications. Then you have math, nursing and allied health. And you may see something that stands out, like this one stood out to me, so I emailed Jonna, why is there only 3 in the pharmacy seminar? And there really isn't only 3 students. We have the max that you can have by law in the pharmacy seminar in the lab is 12. And the other lab is full at 12, and so this one has 3. Is it 12 or 14? 12. And so this one has 3. So next year we'll separate it a little bit better so it's even. But there really are 15 students. We just can't have more than 12 in the lab by legal reasons for their accreditation for the pharmacy tech. So other than that, nothing that we're really worried about. And you have social science and student services on the last 2 pages. So any questions? Lori?
I have a quick question. I just don't know. Is that it? I feel like I've seen it on here before, but I'm just wondering hoping there's not a trend downward. But when I look at the dual enrollment,
Yeah.
in Tulare, it seems like there was a point in time where those were always full. Are those maybe, there are some
okay.
full, but this
Those-
is overflow?
that's a
Is this
good-
overflow?
No, that one, good catch on this one. This is our electrician training program that's at the Tulare.
Oh, no, I'm looking at logic and composition.
Logic and under.
Yeah, English 2.
Oh,
Those
okay.
typically would be full, I thought, or no?
You're in English.
I'm in English, yeah.
Sorry, I was looking at industry and technology.
No,
I was
I
on a
haven't got
different
to there,
page.
but I didn't
So
pick up on
this
those.
is a constant struggle with, well, first of all, for those tutelary ones at 19, that's pretty good.
It is, okay.
Yeah,
because
the max you can have in an English class is 25.
Okay.
And so these are high, they're fine. And what we would look at is for Tulare, we would try to combine those classes, but we can't put 40 students in an English
So
class.
that's what I thought,
So
you're
we
keeping them
need to-
both under the,
We
okay.
have to keep them both
So the
under.
trend is still the same? Those
I
numbers
think-
aren't going down?
I think it's a constant work with the high schools, making sure that they abide by our regulations, which are minimum of 20. So we have Chris Bomer, our Director of Dual Enrollment, working regularly with them, all of our deans working regularly with them and trying to make sure that those high schools meet our minimum requirements. So it's a constant back and forth battle, but a lot of times they're scheduling a year after we are, and they're trying to make adjustments at the last minute. So it's constant work, a little bit of a ballet dance with them, going back and forth. So,
Any other questions? for-
oh, and then I have the canceled report also,
Oh.
sorry. And these are just the classes that we canceled. We don't put it varies how many students were in or why we canceled, but they're all canceled because they're low enrolled. So at some point, we realize these classes aren't going to fill. Usually it's well before the semester starts, and we try to adjust in advance to cancel any classes that we don't think are going to make even the minimum enrollment, and we try to adjust. And so the deans are constantly navigating that, assessing that, and then we try to cancel like way in advance before any students are enrolled in the classes. But occasionally they're enrolled, and then we'll move the students into another section, or we will meet with them and see what else we can do to help them get into a different class. So those are the lists that were canceled.
So likewise with the previous section, that goes into the consideration of scheduling for the following semester.
Yes, they will use this and that as one of the data sets that they look at for the following semester.
I was, I'm sure that it was probably the exact same word previously, but it didn't strike me like it did this time, where the words "no other available options for students at that time." I don't have any concern about that, because as I glance down and see the enrolled, I mean, they're big numbers. They're very close to the maximums anyway, so there's no issue there. I guess I was just sort of struck with the fact that if it's not, I suppose we would need to let the students know far enough in advance to rearrange their schedule. But if they happen to be a really low number, I suppose they would have been in the low enrolled.
They would be
category
canceled,
anyway,
yeah.
Right.
Yes, and so like if you use English as an example, there's a lot in a row, for example, the first four. And I can put more details on this report, but more than likely the 17 was Tuesday, Thursday at 2 p.m. And the only other class available is Monday, Wednesday at 2 p.m. And we don't know if those 17 students can move their entire schedule. So we'd much rather run it with those 17 students than not, So that's normally the case. And we can be more specific on here if you want, but we use the
No,
language
I
from the
think-
AP.
It's fine.
I know I went through that pretty quick, so. Good?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lacerda. We're on item 8, consent calendar. All items listed in the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. An item may be removed from the consent calendar at the request of any member of the Board of Trustees or any person in the audience and considered a separate agenda item. Are there any items that you guys would like to pull? No? I'll ask for a motion.
Move we approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, action, we're now Item 9, action items. Number 9, curriculum, new, modified, and deleted. Dr. Lacerda.
Hi again. Getting my exercise today, standing and sitting. I'm so excited about this first one, and I'm glad Dr. Shingle's here. We have a brand new program that just got, first of all of these have been approved by the Curriculum Committee and Academic Senate, and we're bringing forward the paramedic program. And we're really excited about this. We were approached, I don't know, 5 years ago by the Visalia City Fire to start a paramedic program, and we've been talking about it with them since then. Changes in fire chiefs and all of that, and I guess a year and a half ago, Dr. Shingle, Dr. Robinson, and I sat down with the new fire chief, so we're going to make this happen, and it happened light speed. It's here for your approval today. With this approval today, we will be enrolling students in March to start the paramedic program in June. And so it's light speed, it's incredible, it's workforce. Dr. Shingle's put a ton of effort and energy into this. We hired a new director who you met at the retreat, Nick Branch. I'm just so excited about this. So when you guys approve this, it's really great news. So I had to share that. And so thank you. We have 2 new courses as well, Political Science, Intro to Politics, Race and Gender, and Soc 115, Self and Society. On the rest of that page and the next page are all course modifications. Again, these are all here for 5-year review. It's the normal review that you see. Same thing on the next page, page 3. These are all just new reviews, 5-year review, required 5-year reviews. And the same on the top of page 4. We have 1 course deletion for a program that's not been offered in the past. And then we have 3 more new programs that are, the other one I should be as excited about, it's Associate of Science in Public Health. And so this was an associate degree for transfer that was available, but we had not, and we have, I think, we're the top 3 colleges with associate degrees for transfer. We have the most number that, any that are available in the state, we have them. And so this is adding to our list, and really excited that Brent Davis and his group of faculty will be taking the lead on this Public Health Associate of Science. And then we have 2 certificates to allow us to give a certificate to our students if they've met the CSU or the IGETSI, the UC transfer requirements. Those are the other 3 new programs. And then we have program modifications, which are just general 2-year review for the following programs. And those are remember, our career technical education programs have to be reviewed every 2 years to make sure that they're still meeting our labor market demands. So our recommendation is that the board approve this report tonight.
So moved.
I will second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say, is there any discussion? You guys want to?
Well, let me just ask a clarifying question. I fully support it. On the paramedic, so that's a new subject, are there specific courses that are being added, or are we utilizing existing courses?
The classes have all been designed and have come through. And so I think we approved the classes at the last board meeting, and now we're approving the program. You have to have it's the way our curriculum report works, all the classes have to come through, and then you can create the program. So we put the classes through at the last meeting, and now the program. And the other interesting thing about this program is that it's a fast track program. So they'll be done in 18 months. So students will start in June, in 18 months, they're through 12.
They start in June, they'll be done the next May.
Awesome. It's amazing. There's nothing like it around. And
Shortened it by 7 months.
It's called an accelerated program.
Yeah.
And in one way, that was, the West Hills program is non-accelerated, and so that's kind of why we cooperated together. They offer one that's not accelerated, so people can work part-time. Ours is an accelerated program. It'll be a lot like the police academy. There'll be a lot of agency-sponsored students going through that, so they'll already have a job. And we're also just got our EMT to paramedic apprenticeship approved. So ambulance services will be able to almost pay for their employees to go through it.
Who did you say offered the non-accelerated program?
Another college.
West
The other
Hills.
college out that way.
Another college, yeah. And the other thing is that.
You were there Saturday night?
I was there
We were
Saturday.
rude guests.
And the local ambulance companies have been sending their employees to the next closest, which is Saddleback College in Southern California, to get their degree. And so
There's a guy that owns several ambulances. He sends his people to Arizona for training.
we're going to be able to do it right here. I can't thank Dr. Shingle and Dr. Robinson enough. And now Michelle Brock, our new provost at the Hanford Center. This is going to be housed at Hanford, so she's working really closely with them for the spacing and all of that. So it's just really exciting.
They have to be EMTs before they enter the program?
Yes.
Got it, okay.
The prereq is to finish the EMT
Got it,
class.
and we're going to offer that as well.
We have that. Yep.
Perfect. Okay.
Yes.
Exciting.
Did we voted already?
No.
or-
I have a motion from,
Well, I want to we got to clap after this vote.
I have a motion from trustee Cardoza, a second from trustee Nunes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you all so much. Text Nick.
Moving on to item 10, annual board priorities, 2024 to 2025.
Thank you, President Macareno. This is a follow-up to our item at the board retreat. We looked at the 23-24 annual board priorities, and we did some cleanup on several of them, but really the only one that changed significantly was number 2. Recall that it was always track progress of the implementation of AB 705 and then 1705 to ensure alignment with the master plan, strategic plan. And we feel like we've institutionalized that. That's not going anywhere, but we feel like we've institutionalized that. So we plugged in Cal GETSI, the new general ed pattern the state is using. That's quite the issue right now. UC, CSU, and the community college system. A lot of good people doing hard work in that area, so we felt like that was worthy of a board priority for the year. So that was the major change here. Everything else pretty much stayed the same. Again, we just took out some unnecessary language in several of them, but they stayed virtually the same in terms of overall meaning. Questions for me or conversation about it?
I would move for approval of the board priorities 24-25.
Second. Motion from trustee Nunes, a second from trustee Sherman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Number 11, item 11, consideration for sabbatical funding for 2024, 2025. Dr. Calvin.
Thank you, President Macareno. Every February, the board sets the number of semesters for sabbaticals that will be offered the following year. And I know we've had some controversy surrounding sabbaticals every now and then, and unnecessary if you ask me, but it's really a shame because I think this is a good program. We have fabulous people that come in and do great sabbaticals. Our faculty enrichment committee chair is doing a fabulous job. And I think we've all heard how bad the budget is, and yes, it's bad. It's 0.75% in a COLA proposed in January, which won't cover entirely our mandatory step and column increases. And yet, I think this is important. I think that we should invest in sabbaticals. I think that we have a great process for identifying who gets the sabbatical, and I think we have a FEC chair and a FEC committee that will listen to board feedback if there is something that maybe needs to be tweaked. But overall, I think it's important for us to continue to support full-time faculty in this regard, and my recommendation is that we continue with 2 semesters worth of sabbaticals for next year. And I just think it's important not to lose that, even in a tight budget. Happy to answer any questions you might have about them or the recommendation.
We've done 2 the last few years, right?
That's correct, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't have any question about the recommendation. I support the recommendation fully. It seems to me that from a financial standpoint, it's responsible of the board to receive some sort of reporting out as to how the public dollars were utilized. And also, as I would take a look at those as they come through for approval, what is important to me is how how's the new information institutionalized? You know, how are you going to use it? What's the ultimate outcome to students and the institution and so on? So just commentary, that's all.
I appreciate that. Currently, John Redden is just beginning his, and he's going through training for artificial intelligence, AI, to develop, I believe, a course here at COS, which nobody needs it more than me. And I think we really need to understand AI, and going through a program and being able to share it out has great, great value to the institution. And so I agree, it's important to close the loop and to have our faculty come back and present and then make sure that we do something with the information. Thank you, John.
Where's he going?
I think Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, the program's at Georgia Tech. Yeah.
Trustee Lane, if I may piggyback on your comment, I did appreciate the last presentation, and then, the main focus that I got out of that presentation was creating an environment of mirrors, and the idea of being that books are ways where students can see themselves, and I know that the library has put out books from that hopefully students can see themselves in, and I really appreciated that sabbatical as well as that presentation, and so I am in support of it as well.
With that said, so moved.
Okay. Motion from Trustee Cardoza,
Second.
seconded from Trustee Lane. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Polling item 12?
I'll let him.
I'll give you a little context to it.
Sure.
So item 12 is normally normally a time of year that the Chancellor's Office, per Ed Code, asks districts to set non-resident tuition for the next school year. Having said that, Megan, if you just kind of go up just a little bit to show that chart. Yeah, there we go. They changed the rules to the game in the middle. Before, we could use item C, contiguous districts, and we would pick either Kern or State Center because their non-resident tuition was lower than what our district average is. Now you no longer can do that. You have to either pick the district state cost or the statewide average. So it's either 347 or 406. Tonight we were going to present 347, saying that we didn't have a choice. What does that mean? That means our current non-resident tuition rate is $248 per credit, not including the $46 that they pay also. So what does that mean? Just say a student for the whole year, if they're taking a full load, 30 units at $248, or at $240 is $7,440. If we were to, and this is a 40% increase that we're asking to be tabled, if we were to approve it today, it goes from $7,440 to $10,410. So almost a $30,000 increase. So our question, up and down the state, the Chancellor's Office got a lot of CEOs, CBOs, and student services people calling, why are you doing this? This is not equitable. So Friday night, last week, at 6:44 p.m., they came out with an advisory notice saying, okay, districts, I know it's late in the game, you can now phase the increase in. You still can't use option C, which we were trying to use. So we're going to be phasing in the $99 increase over a 4-year period. So it'll be a 10% increase over the 4 years. So we're kind of waiting to see what other community colleges are doing too. They don't give you gradual, they don't say 5 years equals gradual increase. They just say do a gradual increase.
The thought process behind this is these students haven't had parents paying taxes in California. I think we can all understand that. And so if they come to the state, they should pay what the state would pay us. Because we don't get state apportionment for these students, so we should be getting a similar amount to what we would get from the state and through our apportionment prod. But the thing is that we don't get 10,000 or 11,000. I mean, we don't get 347 plus 46. We don't get $400 a unit. I mean, that, and using that math, it's 12,000. It's 30 units times 347 plus the 46. It's almost $12,000. It's more than the CSU charges. And so our pushback on the chancellor's office has been, we don't get that much in apportionment for our in-state students. Why should we charge our out-of-state students that much? And so they've backed off and at least given us some breathing room and said we can phase it in. We're going to phase it in. We'll bring it back in March. We'll phase it in over 5 years or so. So it's a gradual increase. And maybe by the time that, maybe after this whole thing shakes out, we don't have to increase it even that drastically at all. So.
Do we have a lot of students under this?
A couple hundred.
Okay, that's a lot.
Recommendation is to table the 2024-2025 non-resident tuition rate of $347 per semester unit.
Do we need a motion?
Yes.
I so move to table this item.
Second.
Motion
Is there
by,
a specific date time?
I'll take it
Next month.
the board meeting in March.
motion by trustee Nunes, second by trustee Lane. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Item 13, presentation of initial successor collective bargaining proposals from the district and CSEA.
Good evening.
Mr. Branch.
The district and CSEA are currently operating under a 3-year collective bargaining agreement. And that collective bargaining agreement is scheduled to expire on June 30th of 2024. Obviously, both sides want to commence negotiations for successor collective bargaining agreement. But before we do so, there's a process that we need to follow. And the first step of that process is both sides need to sunshine their initial collective bargaining proposals at a board meeting, which is why we're here tonight. In your board packet, you're going to see that both the district and CSEA have presented their sunshine proposals. Those sunshine proposals are available for review on the district website, and they're also going to be available for review in the Office of Human Resources. And they're going to be available for the public to review for the next 30 days or so. And then the next step of the process is at the March board meeting, the board will actually hold a hearing which will allow the public to come in and make comments about either side's sunshine proposals. If no one speaks, or if there are people to speak, the board will officially hold the board hearing and close it. And at that point, the district and CSEA are then able to formally negotiate a successor collective bargaining agreement. The purpose of tonight is essentially for the board to acknowledge receipt of both sunshine proposals so we can get the process started. So with that, I would ask that there be a motion to acknowledge receipts.
Okay, with that being said, I would move to acknowledge receipt of initial successor collective bargaining proposals.
Second.
Motion from trustee Nunes and a second from trustee Sherman. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. 14, presentation of initial successor collective bargaining proposals for the district and Costa.
Same thing for Costa as it was with CSEA. We have a 3-year agreement that is set to expire at the end of June of this year. So at this time, I would ask the board to formally acknowledge receipt of both the district's sunshine proposal as well as Costa's sunshine proposal.
I so move to acknowledge item 14.
Second.
Motion by trustee Nunes, seconded by trustee Cardoza. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 15, presentation of initial successor collective bargaining proposals from the district and COSAFA.
And the final one, of course, is with our adjunct faculty association, where again, we have a 3-year collective bargaining agreement that expires on June 30th of 2024. I would ask that the board acknowledge receipt of both COSAFA's and the district's sunshine proposal so we can begin negotiations after the board meeting.
Move we
in March.
approve item 15.
Second.
Motion by trustee Sherman, seconded by trustee Nunes. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Say nay. Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Bratch. Item 16, board policies, first read. Dr. Calvin.
Before you, thank you, President Macareno. Before you are 2 board policies that have made it through our internal process and are here for a first read. It does not appear that there were changes to board policy 4225 for course repetition or BP 4300 for field trips and excursions. Happy to answer any questions about it, or we can move it on to the second read.
Move these on to the second read.
I second.
It was motion by trustee Cardoza and seconded by trustee Sherman. Can I test out our advisory vote? Do you mind? I'd like to, before we take a vote, ask our student trustee to provide an advisory vote.
I just say, just to make sure I have it
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Don't forget your umbrellas.
Don't forget your else. All right,
Was it rain?
Prepared today.
we are adjourned.
Good job, Raymond.
Good to see you.